Hello, everyone. I am Darryl McCullough. Sorry about the intro. Um, I want to thank you for joining me once again for another video. This time, I want to do something different. I want to ask the question: is your collecting destroying your relationship? Now, over the years, I've seen many different collections from various collectors. This could be people I've met on in person or seen online. Some extremely creative, amazing collections. Others, not so much. But regardless, I've often thought to myself, are these people in a relationship? I'm married. In fact, my wife and I just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. Now, as far as my collecting has been concerned, was it always, roses uh, with what I was doing? Absolutely, positively not. Um, when I started collecting, of course, I wanted my wife to go to the stores with me and things like that. And in the beginning, she did, and then I could really tell she was not really into it because sometimes I go to an antique store, I pull up, and she say, "Well, I'm just going to sit in the car," and I'm like, "Okay, so you're going to sit in the car for 2 hours?" Due to this, I just went antiquing by myself many times. And, I would sneak things in and arrange things to make it look like it's been there for years. Um, Sometimes I get caught, she's home early and I'm backing the car up to the garage and she's looking out the window and she knows that I bought something. And most of the time, something that I did not need. Did we have arguments, following this? Absolutely. And I want to tell you about one situation in particular. Now, besides collecting African art and antiques, I collect several patterns of depression glass and dinnerware. Very early in our marriage, um, I was walking past one dinnerware collection in particular, and I was just looking over everything, and I happened to notice that one of the ears of the teacup was broken. And I went to my wife and I was like, man, did you see this? And she was like, oh yeah, I did that. I did it. I was mad at you last night. I'm getting mad just thinking about it. Okay, so I said to her, first, the piece that you broke, you're going to pay for that. Secondly, I would rather you punch me in my throat than to damage my antique pieces. The point of what I'm trying to say is be careful with collecting and the extent of how you collect, the time that you're spending, because you'd be surprised that the person that you're in a relationship with could become jealous. Um, I think the comedian Chris Rock said it best. If you're a crackhead, your spouse needs to be a crackhead too. Um, they need to do what you do because they won't get it. They just won't get it. Thankfully, my wife started collecting. She collects rag dolls, and I believe at last count it was well over 100 rag dolls. And she also collects Indibele and Zulu dolls as well. So she gets it. Now I have a few questions that I would like to address to you, and I'll, respond as far as I'm concerned. Why do you collect? Um, with me, I love history. I love history. And I also wanted something to feel proud about. Um, my mother, she would beg to differ because she thinks that I collect because of depression. Another question is, when people visit your home or apartment, wherever you live, and they see your collection, do they say, "Oh, this is really nice"? Or do you really think in their head or under their breath, they say, like, "Oh my God, like this is a lot. This is ridiculous"? With me, I always try, I collect it with a theme. I collect with a theme. I just don't collect everything. I try to keep things organized. Everything has its place. How does your house or apartment, how does it smell? Are you aware of the scents in your home? Um, is your house inviting? Uh, can people relax? Or do they feel like they're in a museum? Um, are things, like I said, I like to keep things organized. Are things organized? Or is your house a junkyard with just a bunch of everything? Now, for me, it's reference to smells. I am a Lysol, Pine Sol, essential oil fanatic. I'm very in control of the scents in this home. You'd be surprised. African art coming from Africa and different things, it can be rather pungent. And anything antiques or African art that I bring in this house, it's clean. Now, in reference to the junkyard, no singer wants to be on the show Unsung, and no collector wants to be on the show Hoarders. Priorities. What comes first, the bills or you adding to your collection? With me, I started off slow. Once a year, when I would get a bonus from work, I would treat myself and I would get, you know, an African piece or an antique. And what happened when I started getting more and more involved with collecting, deals, or when you see a great item, you want it now. It's not going to wait until the end of the year when you get a bonus. So to not mess up things in the household, I started using credit cards. Matter of fact, credit cards were my best friend. And we all know, if unchecked, credit cards aren't a good friend to have, and it could lead to a lot of problems. Is your collecting thirst ever quenched? The thrill of the hunt. Many times I will see a piece or an African art, antique or something, and I think, like, I have to have it. So there's the hunger for it. Then I get the piece. So you would think that my stomach is full now. But what happens a week later, I'm hungry again. So it never stops. It never stops. Lastly, what is your end game to collecting? With me, when I retire from my job, I would love to have my very own antique store. Upscale, something that doesn't smell like grandma's basement, very nice. But because of my fear of being an entrepreneur, how do you pay for your health insurance? How do you do this? How do you do this? I'm afraid. And I don't want to use my savings, to start a business, big grand opening sign, and then 6 months later, big grand closing sign. So I have to come to the realization that I probably will never achieve that goal of owning my very own store. So I want to end this video saying to my fellow collectors, love what you do, love what you collect. However, occasionally, look at your collection through the eyes of a new person. I don't know, it's very enlightening. And believe it or not, I try. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. And I'll see you next time.